let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their mitts, putting on their Ritz.
Rick, I'll tell you what. $10,000? $10,000 bet?
I get speaker's fees from time to time, but not very much. I like being able to fire people who provide services to me.
And the all-time worst gaffe for a rich guy trying not to look like a rich guy.
I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it.
$1 million trooper.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't in favor of the pig pile on Newt, and I don't really much like the pig pile on Mitt. He didn't mean it that way, okay? He didn't mean that he doesn't care about the poor. Oh, wait. Well, what was the full context? I was at my school volunteering duty yesterday, so this all broke when I was working with the first graders on the coin toss. Oh, I'm still not sure on the odds, Charles, on the coin toss. If you toss the penny, I should ask Romney. He knows a little bit about money. Yeah, no, that's a coin toss. Oh, don't even get me started. I still have a headache. I still have a headache from adding and subtracting. Okay, so I was there, and all this stuff broke in the news, and I'm thinking, okay, let me hear the whole context. So let me hear the whole context, pig pilers.
I'm in this race because I care about Americans. I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it. I'm not concerned about the very rich. They're doing just fine. I'm concerned about the very heart of America, the 95% of Americans who right now are struggling, and I'll continue to take that message across the nation.
All right, I know I said last question, but I got to ask you. You just said, I'm not concerned about the very poor because they have a safety net. And I think there are lots of very poor Americans who are struggling who would say, that sounds odd. Can you explain that?
Well, you had to finish the sentence, Soledad. I said, I'm not concerned about the very poor that have a safety net, but if it has holes in it, I will repair them.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, did you see her facial expression? Who saw her facial expression after the second comment on the very poor? She looked like she was the cat who just ate the canary. She knew that she had media gold. Soledad O'Brien has never had as important a moment as she had yesterday with that Q&A with Romney. Okay, we have a lot of things about this we're going to talk about. The first thing is this. Now, this is not the most important thing, but it's one thing. Why is Mitt Romney going on CNN? Earlier in the morning, he went on Morning Joe. I mean, God bless Joe Scarborough. And Mika Brzezinski's adorable, but my goodness. Well, how many people, what are the ratings on Morning Joe? It's not that much. I mean, it's a fun show, but my goodness. Why must we convince Morning Joe that we're the right person to be the GOP nominee? Why must we convince the liberals at CNN that we have the right formula for the country? Here's a news flash from Mitt Romney. You will never convince most of the people at MSNBC, my old haunt, you will never convince them that you're the right person for this job. You will never convince CNN that you're the right person for this job. Instead, what they will do is they will try to get you to say something really stupid like you just said.
I don't get it.
That's what they will do. That's what they live to do. They're not your friend. They're not trying to propel your nomination. They're not trying to be fair. They are trying to have you step into a trap like you did yesterday. So here's my message to the Romney campaign. Until you're able to, without notes and without preparation, discuss these first conservative principles of, for instance, why the war on poverty was a failure, why the poor are actually not helped by this ever-growing nanny state around us, why the poor are actually the ones who are stuck where they are because of this lousy economy. Until you're able to speak about these issues in a provocative yet compelling and, yes, The truth is compassionate. Believe it or not, the truth is very compassionate. Until you're able to do that, then don't go on any of these shows. Because this will keep happening to you. Am I being unfair to Mitt Romney? This is tough medicine. I wrote about the tough medicine yesterday for the Tea Party. Well, you're about to read the tough medicine for Mitt Romney that I will just be shortly launching on LauraIngraham.com. Tough medicine. I know you think you have all the smartest consultants wrapped up. They're all locked up in contracts for the next year. I know you have high paid commercial people who are pumping out these commercials, and it's easy to buzzsaw Gingrich when he has $4 million. That's easy pickings. But you know what's hard to do? It's hard to sound conservative if you haven't been working in the trenches of conservatism for decades.
Well, you had
it's
to
really hard.
finish the sentence, Soledad.
Well, that's the bottom line. And I'll tell you something. The Wall Street Journal writes a piece, an editorial today, that I think is generally right. It says what Mitt really meant. And he was talking, it goes on about, why this, spontaneous, emission from Mitt Romney, why it really, you unpack it. We get it, okay? What you're saying is the middle of the country is truly suffering. And my policies are going to help middle-class Americans, but everybody in the end will be helped. When the middle class is able to make more money, send their kids to college, all these things, and they're out of debt, then everybody else will be better off. I get that. The Wall Street Journal ends its editorial by saying Romney's failures to communicate are common among businessmen and other normal people who have the right instincts but haven't spent their lives thinking about politics. He also recently ran into trouble when he said he liked firing people, hence our montage when you just heard. He was really talking then about the discipline of market competition. Again, Romney's point about insurance companies, totally right. But when you haven't, as Reagan did, or as Gingrich has done, spent a lifetime debating and arguing for the conservative agenda, thinking about these ideas, reading history, understanding history, writing books about this. When you haven't spent your life doing this, it's really hard to do this off the cuff.
I disagree.
Really hard. Well, so this is where we are. So National Review writes, National Review I thought the cover story of National Review was Mitt's our guy just a few weeks ago. Now it's what's wrong with this guy. Mitt's our guy to what's wrong with this guy. What? Mark Stein, what's wrong with this guy? Okay. We have for the last several weeks heard that Romney is the most electable because the election will be about Obama. Romney's unassailable. Wonderful family, beautiful wife, exemplary business career, a brilliant mind, a crisis manager, a turnaround guy. Well, I've made the crisis manager points and the turnaround points. Those are correct. The problem is you can't say that the campaign is going to be solely about Obama or mostly about Obama when you are writing the Democrat National Committee campaign commercials for them. The song "Putting on the Ritz." You know someone's working on putting on the mitts. They're doing the commercial, right, Boston? It's putting on the mitts, and they're going to be all the gaffes.
I could bet on it.
Oh no. I mean, putting on the mitts. I mean, it is hilarious. How many of you think Saturday Night Live is going to be devoted to Mitt Romney this weekend? They did it to Sarah Palin. Yes, unfair? Of course it was. But we cannot give them those moments. We must be smarter than they are. Of course, they're always going to ridicule conservatives. Going on MSNBC and CNN and shows and networks like that will virtually guarantee that something like this happens every couple weeks. Until you get your conservative ducks in a row. Romney is more than capable of understanding these arguments and reciting these arguments. The concern I think more people are having now after these episodes is, does he believe these arguments? about what the entitlement mentality that we have fostered with these government programs, whether he understands how dangerous that growing dependency on government is to a free society. That's the concern here. You have to live, breathe, and eat this stuff in order to debate it and argue it. And the $15 million of negative ads against Gingrich, that ain't going to cut it. The same tactics against Obama. No way. Not when you're making gaffes like this. It's one gaffe, yeah, it's not the end of the world. But turnaround Mitt better turn this around really quickly. Your response to all of this as we come back, and it looks like Donald Trump is about to endorse Newt Gingrich. Does that matter to you? Later on, do we need to know more about the first ladies? Callista Gingrich has been largely absent from the scene. You've seen her, but you haven't heard her. Is that a concern for voters? Do voters care about this, especially with that 20+% gender gap in Florida? Because Ann Romney is a wonderful asset to Mitt Romney. She is an incredible person, and I think women bond with her. Does that matter? I was watching her introduce Mitt the other night in Florida, and I was like, I want to listen to her. We'll take a break. We're going to get into all of that and the truth about the underclass, the poor, the people who are struggling in the United States. What helps them the most, and what does Mitt Romney know probably better than anyone that can help these people? I'll tell you about it coming back.
That rich guy you've been seeing must have put you down.
Today, Mitt Romney's victory lap after his big win in Florida went wrong for a badly worded remark.
Under fire hours after his big win, Mitt Romney says he's not concerned about the very poorest Americans.
Romney spent much of today explaining a controversial comment.
I'm not going to apologize for being successful.